Have you ever wondered what it would be like to rule one of the greatest empires of ancient history amidst political intrigue, volatile alliances, and a lineage of gods? Welcome to the world of Cleopatra VII, the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt, whose political cunning and unmatched charm shaped not only the fate of her kingdom but also the course of history. In this video, we're delving into an era where the wit and diplomacy of a woman challenged the dominance of the greatest superpower of the ancient world, Rome. We'll uncover how Cleopatra used her intelligence, charm, and political foresight not only to survive but to strive for securing a future for her kingdom amidst the storms of Roman geopolitics. But what does this mean for you? In a world where we face our own battles, whether in the workplace, in personal relationships, or in pursuit of our goals, Cleopatra's strategies can offer inspiration and guidance. How can you apply the wisdom of a queen from the past to overcome present challenges and pave the way for your future? Stay with us, and together, we'll discover how Cleopatra's story can illuminate our own journeys. Cleopatra, daughter of Ptolemy XII, ascended to the Egyptian throne during a time of political turmoil and dynastic decline. Known for her enigmatic beauty, she was above all a shrewd ruler and a skilled political strategist. Her era marks a critical period in Egypt's history, characterized by alliances with foreign powers and an unrelenting struggle to preserve her kingdom's independence in the face of the growing Roman Empire. Cleopatra's influence extended far beyond Egypt's borders, entangling her in complex relationships with figures like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, pivotal not only to Egypt's fate but also to the political landscape of the ancient world. In this video, we'll dive deep into the politics of ancient Egypt through the lens of its last and most famous ruler, Cleopatra. We'll unravel the intricacies of her governance, from manipulating diplomatic relations to her skill in utilizing Egyptian culture and religion as tools of power. We'll explore how her life and reign intertwine with the crucial political events of the time, shedding light on the strategies she employed to try to save her kingdom from Roman domination. By the end of this video, you'll have a deeper understanding not only of Cleopatra as a historical figure, but also of the complex world of politics in ancient Egypt, where gods and rulers played a deadly chess game for control over the fate of one of the greatest empires of antiquity. Cleopatra VII, the last pharaoh of Ptolemaic Egypt, is an iconic figure that transcends the ages, thanks to her political acumen, charisma, and keen ability to navigate the turbulent waters of ancient Egyptian politics. Born in 69 BC, Cleopatra was descended from a line of Macedonian pharaohs established by Ptolemy I after the death of Alexander the Great. From a young age, Cleopatra was immersed in a diverse education, encompassing not only the political and administrative aspects necessary for rule but also areas such as mathematics, philosophy, oratory, and especially languages, mastering around 9 languages. This preparation not only shaped her as a competent leader but also as a skilled diplomat, capable of effectively communicating with diverse peoples under her dominion. Cleopatra's rise to power was marked by a series of turbulent events that reflect the complexities and intrigues of ancient Egyptian politics. Her father, Ptolemy XII, left the throne to Cleopatra and her brother Ptolemy XIII as co-regents in his will. However, the co-regency quickly degenerated into conflict, exacerbated by internal court tensions and the influence of ambitious advisors. The situation reached a critical point when Cleopatra was forced into exile in Syria, from where she began to gather an army to reclaim her throne. Cleopatra's return to power is a testament to her cunning and political skill. In 48 BC, Seizing upon Julius Caesar's arrival in Egypt in pursuit of his rival Pompey, Cleopatra saw an opportunity to restore her position. With a dramatic and secretive entrance into Caesar's palace rolled up in a carpet, Cleopatra managed to capture his attention and eventually his support. The alliance formed between Cleopatra and Caesar was both strategic and personal, culminating in the birth of their son, Ptolemy XV, popularly known as Caesarion. After the decisive Battle of the Nile, where Caesar's forces defeated the army of Ptolemy XIII, Cleopatra was firmly reinstated on the throne of Egypt. Her initial reign was characterized by efforts to stabilize Egypt after years of instability and internal conflict. Cleopatra devoted herself to rebuilding the Egyptian economy, improving its agricultural and commercial infrastructure, and strengthening diplomatic relations with neighboring kingdoms. Her government also witnessed a revival in the arts and culture, reaffirming Egypt as a center of scholarship and knowledge. Cleopatra's relationship with Rome, solidified through her alliance with Julius Caesar, was a cornerstone of her foreign policy. After Caesar's assassination in 44 BC, Cleopatra aligned herself with Mark Antony, one of the triumvirs of the new Roman government, in an attempt to safeguard her throne and protect Egypt from Rome's expansionist ambitions. This alliance, though strategic, ultimately became deeply personal, resulting in the birth of 3 children. Cleopatra and Mark Antony sought to create a sphere of influence in the Eastern Mediterranean, challenging the established powers in Rome, a move that eventually led to direct conflict with the forces of Octavian, the future Emperor Augustus. Cleopatra VII, the last pharaoh of Ptolemaic Egypt, was a central figure in the complex web of international politics in the Mediterranean during the 1st century BC. Her rise to power and subsequent maintenance of the throne were intricately linked to her ability to navigate the turbulent waters of alliances and rivalries of her time. Cleopatra's most significant relationship was with Rome, the emerging superpower, whose influential leaders saw Egypt as a crucial source of grain and resources. Cleopatra forged close ties with Julius Caesar, initially as a measure to consolidate her power in Egypt against her brother and co-regent, Ptolemy XIII. The alliance with Caesar not only secured her position in Egypt but also marked the beginning of an era of deep involvement in Roman affairs that would extend throughout her life. After the assassination of Julius Caesar in 44 BC, Cleopatra turned her attention to Mark Antony, one of the members of the Second Triumvirate ruling Rome. The alliance between Cleopatra and Mark Antony was both personal and political. Together, they sought to strengthen their positions against their respective enemies, both internal and external. This partnership led to the famous land grants that Mark Antony made to Cleopatra and her children, an act that signaled an attempt to recreate a Hellenistic empire in the East. However, this union also provoked the anger of Rome, especially from Octavian, the future Augustus, who saw Cleopatra's growing influence over Mark Antony as a direct threat to Rome's security and supremacy. Cleopatra's diplomacy was a delicate balance between showing deference to Rome and, at the same time, maneuvering to preserve Egypt's independence and influence. She skillfully used her wealth, intelligence, and personal charm to forge alliances, but did not hesitate to resort to war when diplomatic relations failed or when Egypt's interests were at risk. The most notable episode of this was her involvement in the war against Octavian, where she supported Mark Antony in the Battle of Actium in 31 BC. This decision, though bold, would ultimately prove disastrous for both Cleopatra and Mark Antony, as they faced a crushing defeat that marked the end of Egypt's independence. Cleopatra's rivalries, particularly with the leaders of Rome, highlight the complexity of political relations in antiquity. Her feud with Octavian exemplifies how alliances could quickly turn into enmities with far-reaching consequences. The antipathy between Cleopatra and Octavian was not just a matter of foreign policy but also reflected internal tensions. In Rome, where foreign influence and female power were viewed with suspicion and often hostility. In short, Cleopatra's international politics were defined by her ability to form strategic alliances with powerful Roman leaders, while engaging in rivalries that shaped Egypt's destiny. Her skill in alternating between diplomacy and war highlights not only her intelligence and political cunning, but also the crucial role she played in defending Egypt's independence against growing external threats. Cleopatra's actions, while ultimately leading to the end of the Ptolemaic era, underscore the complexity and intrigue of international politics in antiquity, where powerful alliances and deep enemies coexisted in a constant power play. Cleopatra VII, the last pharaoh of Ptolemaic Egypt, is often remembered for her exceptional political and diplomatic skills. In an era dominated by powerful empires and male leaders, she emerged as a shrewd ruler, using marital alliances and diplomacy to strengthen Egypt's position on the Mediterranean stage. Cleopatra adeptly navigated the complex political relations with Rome, forming crucial alliances with key figures such as Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Her governance was marked by a combination of realpolitik and the use of her image and personal charisma, which helped her maintain Egypt's independence in the face of growing external threats. Internally, Cleopatra focused on economic stabilization and cultural revitalization of Egypt. She implemented economic reforms to increase the kingdom's wealth, such as improving the taxation system and encouraging agricultural trade, which was vital for Egypt's agrarian-based economy. Cleopatra also dedicated herself to patronizing the arts and culture, promoting Hellenism, the fusion of Greek and Egyptian cultures, which characterized the Ptolemaic period. Under her reign, Alexandria flourished as a center of culture and learning, housing the famous Library of Alexandria and attracting scholars from across the known world. Cleopatra's political legacy remains remarkable both for her influence in Egypt and for her broader impact on the Mediterranean. Her domestic policies strengthened Egypt's economy and promoted a cultural renaissance that elevated Alexandria as one of the most important cities of antiquity. Politically, her ability to maneuver among the powers of Rome helped maintain Egypt's independence for a time, delaying Roman annexation. Although Egypt eventually became a Roman province after her death, Cleopatra's memory and legacy endured, symbolizing Egyptian resistance and pride in the face of foreign domination. Cleopatra distinguished herself not only as a ruler in a male-dominated world but also as a political strategist, who knew how to utilize all available resources to protect and prosper her kingdom. Her government was characterized by a careful balance between external diplomacy and internal reforms, always aiming at the strengthening and independence of Egypt. Cleopatra's story is a testament to her lasting impact on Mediterranean politics and world culture. Through her governance strategies, internal management, and the construction of a legacy that transcended her time, Cleopatra VII remains one of the most fascinating and influential figures in ancient history, whose actions continue to inspire and evoke admiration to this day. Cleopatra VII, the last pharaoh of Ptolemaic Egypt, remains one of the most fascinating figures in ancient history. However, the narrative surrounding her is often embellished with myths and exaggerations. Contrary to the popular belief that primarily portrays her as a ruthless seductress, Cleopatra was a cunning and educated leader, fluently versed in various languages and endowed with a keen political sense. Her relationship with Roman figures such as Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, often portrayed through a romantic lens, was largely strategic, aiming at preserving the power and sovereignty of Egypt in times of political turmoil. Demystifying Cleopatra requires an understanding of the difference between the image perpetuated by popular culture and historical reality. While Roman accounts and later representations often emphasize her supposed beauty and seductive power, modern historians point to her intelligence, diplomatic prowess, and political determination as her true strengths. Furthermore, the image of Cleopatra as a dazzling seductress ignores the complex political context of her time and minimizes her ability to navigate the turbulent waters of Mediterranean politics. Cleopatra's presence in popular culture is both vast and varied, spanning centuries of literature, cinema, and art. From Shakespearean drama to Hollywood blockbusters, Cleopatra has been portrayed in ways that often emphasize fiction over reality. These representations tend to focus more on her romantic relationships with Roman figures, neglecting her political achievements and intelligence. Although these interpretations have contributed to the perpetuation of the Cleopatra myth, they have also served to keep her name in the popular imagination, demonstrating the enduring fascination she holds over audiences. However, it is important to note that the image of Cleopatra in films and books often reflects more on the era in which the work was created than on Cleopatra herself. For example, Elizabeth Taylor's Cleopatra in 1963 is both an icon of Hollywood's golden age glamour and an attempt to capture the essence of the Egyptian pharaoh. These representations are valuable not only as entertainment but also as cultural documents, offering insights into the perceptions and values of their respective times. The true Cleopatra, despite the veils of myth and fiction, emerges as a complex and multifaceted figure. Her legacy is a testament to her ability to maneuver the complexities of ancient Egyptian and Mediterranean politics. By demystifying Cleopatra, we can appreciate not only the woman behind the myth but also the capable leader who challenged the conventions of her time and left an indelible mark on history. Recognizing the true Cleopatra is acknowledging the depth and complexity of one of antiquity's most remarkable leaders. The life and reign of Cleopatra VII, the last pharaoh of Ptolemaic Egypt, remain to this day a symbol of cunning, power, and seduction. Her ability to navigate the complex politics of ancient Egypt and the Roman world, forming strategic alliances with figures such as Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, stands out as a demonstration of her shrewdness and political intelligence. Cleopatra not only fought for the preservation of her throne against internal and external threats but also sought the expansion and strengthening of her kingdom in an era dominated by foreign powers. Cleopatra is often remembered for her legendary beauty and romantic affairs with Roman leaders, but these simplistic narratives do not do justice to the complexity of her reign and achievements. She was a ruler who strove to revitalize Egypt's economy, promote science and culture, and maintain the independence of her nation in the face of Rome's growing power. Her politics, focused on diplomacy and intelligence, reveal a leader who was ahead of her time, using all resources at her disposal to ensure the prosperity of her people and the sovereignty of her kingdom. However, Cleopatra's legacy goes beyond political and military feats. She became an iconic figure in history and culture, symbolizing female power in a predominantly male world. Her life has inspired countless works of art, literature, and cinema, transforming her into an eternal myth that transcends time. Cleopatra continues to fascinate not only as a shrewd ruler, but also as a woman who challenged the conventions of her time to write her own story. Absolutely, Cleopatra's story serves as a powerful reminder of what can be achieved with intelligence, determination, and courage. In a world where women still struggle for equality and recognition, the Pharaoh of Egypt teaches us the importance of leading with vision and the ability to adapt to constantly changing circumstances, while remaining true to one's principles and goals. Therefore, reflecting on Cleopatra's life and legacy, it is essential to recognize her contribution not only to the history of Egypt but also to the global narrative of female leadership. Her story resonates to this day as a testimony to the complexity of human power and the persistence of the human spirit in the face of challenges. Cleopatra is not just a figure from the past, she is a perennial symbol of the ability to influence the course of history, an inspiring example of leadership and resilience.